Well, my old high school days, me and my brother traveling. I thought I'd show you all a little bit today about something I'm working on here, and maybe it'll be interesting to you, maybe it won't. Um, but I was going to do it in a German accent, but my German accent kept going bouncing back and forth between German, Mexican, and Chinese. So I decided to drop that. But here it is. So this, I'm going to flip you over here. This is a cylinder head off a 1978 Triumph Bonneville that I'm rebuilding. And I thought it might be interesting for some of you to see a little bit about the inner workings of an old motor, which isn't a lot different than a new motor, but there are some things. I have an intruder here.
Oh my god, another video.
Oh, there she is. It's my fan. It's my one groupie. But so this is a two-cylinder, has two valves, and it's not finished assembling. I had to order some parts. But this is the top of it. These are the two intake. This is an intake valve and valve springs, two exhaust valves and valve springs, and this is the other intake valve, but the valve's not in it. That's a valve guide. So I had to put new valve guides in this, and I put new valves, valve guides, and springs. And the valve guides were burnt very badly. Actually, here's one here that I'll show you. That's one of the better ones. But they had quite a bit of slop in them. I think the worst one had about 0.08 of an inch of play, which is way over spec. So anyway, that's the top of the cylinder head. It goes on top of the motor, and fuel comes in here, and this valve will open and let the fuel go down into the combustion chamber where it explodes. And once it compresses and explodes, it pushes the piston back down, and then on the next stroke it comes up and this exhaust valve opens. And let's see if I can turn this around. So these exhaust valves open, and the exhaust gas will come out of these portals here. And it hooks on to this exhaust pipe and shoots out the back and dumps pollutants into the air, and just awesome sounds that we old motorheads like. So here's the bottom side of it. And so you can see two cylinders. This is the dome. And here's the exhaust cylinders, or exhaust valves, and the intake valves, and the one yet to be put in. So I had a little issue with this head, and that it had been ground down before. I couldn't get it entirely flat, and there's not enough meat left to grind it. And I actually had to take a Dremel tool and grind down some of these castings so I could get enough room to at least take some of the finish off, try to get it even. So I made an old machinist plate. It's not an old machinist plate. I made a machinist plate out of a piece of plate glass and some emery cloth, and I just spray a little WD-40 on there and rub the cylinder head across there to try to smooth it out a little bit and get some of the high points out of it. So that's my little trick for the day, and it worked pretty good. You can see I put engineer's bluing on here to be able to identify my high spots and low spots, and it's a little bit low in the middle here, but I've got another solution for that. I just didn't have any more back here. I don't know if you probably doesn't show very well, but back here, this is flush with the cooling fins. There was just nothing else left there. So I'm going to put an oversized copper head gasket in here and seal it with copper spray and just kind of goop the crap out of it. It was having a little bit of gas go back and forth between here. That's how far out it was. And I couldn't put, the head had been ground down so far. The smallest space that I could put on the push rod tubes still was enough to allow me to really torque it all the way down. So I was leaking oil around the push rod tubes. So this will help. The head gasket's about 30 thousandths oversized, so it'll reduce the compression a little bit, which is probably good in this case. the bike makes plenty of power. It just was just loose. So this should tighten it all up. And that's my lesson on cylinder heads today. Okay, hope you're doing well. Oh, these are, whoa, never mind. These are intake manifolds. A little different than on a car, but that's what those are. They're little intake manifolds. So, okay, bye-bye.